Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good evening to all the view in our Masa University. Okay, first of all, welcome to the uh, webinar series conducted by Faculty of Engineering and Built Environment. Okay, so I would like to welcome you all to the webinar audience. Before we start our webinar, uh, let me introduce my guest speaker background first. Okay, TS Dr. Muralitara Balakrishnan received an electrical telecommunications engineering degree from University Technology of Malaysia in year 2000. He received a Master of Engineering Science degree from Multimedia University in 2005. Okay, he obtained a PhD from Multimedia University in 2011. Hereby, his research is on the educational research. He is currently attached to University Pendidikan Sultan Idris Malaysia as an associate professor. His research interests include educational research, especially in transdisciplinary research involving STEM education, ethic education, and creativity and innovations. Okay, so this is a little bit uh, a background for our guest speaker. Okay, so uh, for this webinar, if you have any question, you can put it your question in the comment box. Okay, so I will disrupt the guest speaker to answer all your question. Okay, now I would like to welcome to the guest speaker, TS Dr. Muralitara Balakrishnan. Okay, to deliver his presentation. Okay, all right. Associate Prof. TS Dr. Balakrishnan. Okay, this platform is yours. Okay, I will hand over to you. Okay,
Okay,
please,
thank you.
Prof.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Sabrin. Thanks to Masha University for inviting me to give such a wonderful talk in this good evening today. I would like to actually mention to you, you don't need to actually mentioning my name, full name, Dr. Sabrin. It's going to be a hard time for you. You just can call me Bala. Okay, thank you very much. So I would like to share my screen now, okay, of my presentation for today. I really hope that you all can see my screen well. Is it okay, Dr. Sabrin, over there, the screen display?
Yes, yes, clear.
All right, thank you very
All right.
much. So, welcome to all the audience today. Today, I'm going to actually deliver some kind of a talk on the very important issue, okay, that is actually that we are facing in today's engineering education and practices, which is on the engineering ethics issues and challenges, right? Um, Let me introduce myself again. Okay, I'm from Sultan Idris Education University, Malaysia. All right, and in this particular talk, I'm going to actually looking at different elements of concept of ethics here. All right, which I may start with the introduction of why we need ethics. All right, that will be my first uh, uh, presentation or the first topic for today's discussion. Then secondly, we are going to actually expose ourselves on the definition of ethics and what are the theories related to it, because it is very important to know what is the definition and theories related to it, because it's going to help us to understand better on why we need ethics and what actually ethics can do for us. All right. Then we are going to actually discuss on the ethics education, and okay, a very important issue that we are going to also discuss is the ethical issues at workplace. All right, and at the same time, we are also going to expose ourselves on the ethical issues and challenges, especially in this Industrial Revolution 4.0 era. And we are also going to actually somehow going to get some information on how, okay, we are going to overcome this. Okay, and finally, I'm going to propose a 21st century ethics education model, which, okay, all the related stakeholders may benefit from the proposed model, so that you can actually include that in your daily activities, either in the teaching, in your or in your professional practices. All right. So these are the titles, the topics that I'm going to discuss today. So, as I already told you, why ethics? So, this is the question that we need to ask to ourselves, all right, again and again, why we need ethics, right? Is there anything, Dr. Sabri? Because I can hear you.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
maybe, is there anything that you like to say? Anything? No, eh?
No.
No, all right. Because I can keep on listening to you. That's why. All right.
Yeah.
I thought you may actually have
Yeah.
something. Uh, all right. Okay. So that will be the today's first topic that we're going to discuss is why we need ethics actually. All right. So ethics, actually, it is not only give us the right and the wrong, okay, the right and the wrong of the particular decision that we make in our daily life. All right. So the daily life that I'm trying to say here, it is not in the context of our in the context of our what I would say, it is not in the context of uh, not only in our daily life to take a decision, okay, in our practical lives, okay, as an engineer, we have to know what is right and wrong things also. All right. So it is not only related ethics, not only drive us to take a proper decision, what is right, what is wrong in terms of our daily activity, but also in our professional activity. All right. But you have to know that the ethics should go beyond that, right? The ethics should go beyond the right and the wrong, okay, in which, okay, it should include, right, a proper framework in terms of our action and decision that we're going to take. All right. When someone say that, all right, you are taking an ethical decision. All right. When you take an ethical decision, it is not only about the right, okay, about the right thing to do. At the same time, it should also has the component, okay, of the what we call as the social responsibility, right, the integrity, all right, the love, all right, that is why the heart is there, okay, the love towards all beings, not only towards the humankind, all right, but all living beings. It means to not only to the man, but also to the environment at large. All right. So that will be the values you should have when you talk about the ethical, okay, actions and decisions. And at the same time, it should also have a commitment towards the organizations that you are actually
Yep.
belongs to, or you're committed in terms of as a consultant or whatever, that you're committed to do something for them. All right. And at the same time, you become a trustworthy professional, right? So in this particular today's context, we are talking about engineering. So you have to be a trustworthy engineer. So these are the things that you have to actually think about when we are talking about ethics. All right. It is not only about the right thing that you do, all right, in your actions and decisions that you're going to take, but it should also contains, okay, these kind of elements, right, in order for us to serve the society, okay, for the well-being of the society, and at the same time to the overall biosphere, right? So that is the concept that you need to know when you're talking about ethics. All right. So that is the why ethics. But we have to know, right? Why we want to have these ethical values and responsibility? Because we want to have, all right, we want to actually pass, okay, a better world to the future generation. So that is become a core aim, what I would say a core ambition, right? Why we need, okay, ethics? Because when we are actually act in an ethical way, when we talk about ethical responsibility among the professionals, right, among the engineers, we are actually the main idea is that we want to actually pass a better world to the next generation. So that is why we actually need these ethics basically. So I really hope that I'm able to answer why ethics. All right. So that is the first topic. Comes to the second topic today is we are talking about the definition of ethics. So somehow we need to know, all right, what is the underlying principle of ethics. So ethics is a system of moral principles. Ethics is concerned with what is good for individuals and society, and is also described as a moral philosophy. So that is the basic idea of ethics. But when you actually put the ethics in terms of the professional activity, okay, today's we are working at this as an engineer, for an example. Okay, we are in the engineering discipline. Then professional ethics, okay, the definition of the professional ethics will be is concerned with the standard and moral conduct that govern the profession and its members. So, more specifically, I would put it that professional ethics examines issues, problems, and the social responsibility of the profession itself and individual practitioner. So that is why, okay, you can see that the first topic that I'm actually discussed just now is about why ethics. So you can see here that the ethics, when it comes to in the professional context, it not only talk about right and wrong, okay, it is also consider other elements as well, right? When it comes to professional ethics, for sure there will be professional code of conduct that we need to adhere to, right? At the same time, the other values which have been discussed just now. So that is the professional ethics is all about. So let us look at the ethical theories that actually drive the overall ethical action and decision that we may make, okay, in our daily life as an engineer, right? And this particular theory is important because it's going to actually give us a real meaning of the ethics here. All right. So the ethical theory is basically divided into three. The first one is the utilitarianism, okay, which is what we call as the consequenceless ethics, to do the greatest amount of good for the greatest number. All right. So that is the first theory of the ethics. All right. The second one is what we call as a deontology. That is about the right or wrong of an action. This is more towards a personal action. That means one should act such that one's act can be willed as a universal law. So you can look at the utilitarianism just now. It is about what you should do so that you can actually bring greatest amount of good to the society, to the greatest number, right? So you are looking at, okay, how your action is going to actually impact the larger society. That is the first one. But when it comes to deontology, it is about your action, all right, your action which you feel that, okay, I think what I'm doing is right. All right, that is what we call as a deontology, which is actually run by the right or wrong of an action. So it is up to you. This is what we call as the moral autonomy, basically. It is depends on as an individual to see whether it is wrong or right. It is actually based on the individual action, right? So that is the second one, what we call as a deontology. The third one is what we call as the virtue ethics. So virtue ethics is the development of your personal character, your moral character. So this is where your virtue ethics is not about only the action, but it's also about how you actually inculcate, all right, the good values in your mind and in your heart as well. All right. So that is the virtue ethics. So these three ethical theories is the one is actually run, okay, or what we call drive the overall ethics, education and professional ethics that we are actually discussing today. All right. So let us look at uh, how about the ethics education, right? Because as we all in the education industry here, all right, as we know that Masha University, me, everyone, okay, and Dr. Sabrin also as an educator in the engineering faculty, all right. So we have to actually look at what ethics education should do, all right, what education should do and how it should be, all right. So ethics education need to focus on extended, broader and even more pragmatic approach. This is very important because right now we are not only discussing about ethics education or ethical things that happen in that particular certain nation, right? As we know that we are actually in a globalized society. Globalized society means that it is borderless. So you may actually working as an engineer in Malaysia, but serving, all right, other country. Okay, you become a consultant or you are actually serving to other country. So you may actually, when you're actually taking some ethical decisions, all right, you need to also know that, okay, you need to adhere to not only for to the Malaysian Code of Conduct, okay, Malaysian Engineers Code of Conduct that's set by the Board of Engineers Malaysia, but at the same time, also you have to adhere to the code of conduct that has been, all right, set by the your client nation. Okay, let's say you are actually serving to China, for an example. So you are actually consulting to some kind of engineering project to China. So you have to also remember that you're not only adhere to what is the code of conduct in Malaysia, but you need to also adhere to the China, okay, code of conduct, okay, engineers code of conduct. And also you need to understand about their cultural values also, because in ethics it is not only in a very confined framework about a professional code of conduct. Okay, there is other element must become there. So that is why ethical action needs a conducive social structure and human action, all right, whereby engineers should not only be responsive to the issues but also need to strive to change and improve the issue, all right. So this is where you have to think more, all right, rather than just confine yourself. That is what ethics is now. Ethics education should be more pragmatic, more broader and to be extended. So that is what I'm trying to bring the issue, the message here, all right, to especially to the ethics educator, all right. Holistic approach is needed to address social needs and ethically sound. So there is a serious need for both ethical awareness and willpower that leads towards aspiration ethics. So that is what we really want, okay, in terms of the ethics education here, right? Aspiration ethics, it means that every of us, okay, will be aspired to be ethical, all right. So right now what is happening, quite sad also, when I'm actually doing a lot of research here and there, all right, when we're looking at the what is the ethical education is coming, okay, especially in engineering education, ethics education, it just become a subject, right? It is not much being practiced, and also the values that supposed to be there, it is not that been inculcate among the future engineers. That means our students. So this is where we need to really look into again, right? And because it's going to be very important for the undergraduates, especially the engineering undergraduates, when they are actually going to be, okay, the future engineers, all right. This is not only for engineering, yeah, all right. So what I'm telling you that the ethics education not only for engineering, right, it is also can be extended, all right. We have to look at it in a very general thing, because our students are not only going to be engineers, they may actually end up in different profession. but the values must be there. So the ethical values must be bring along, okay, their career path. So this is the importance of the educator. Okay, it has become the importance of the ethics education, and also for the educators to bring this aspiration ethics. All right, not only education just to expose, to just to give the knowledge of the ethics, that's all. No. All right, so we have to bring this aspiration ethics, okay, at large to our student. So that is the thing. But let me look at also what are the when we actually want to put in terms of the aspiration ethics. All right, there is a need for new pragmatic ethics education paradigm. All right, such as we need to enhance the followings basically, such as like ethical responsibility, the reasoning skills during when the students, someone is taking the making the ethical decisions. All right, there should be a proper reasoning skills as well, need to be developed during the undergraduate level. All right, so when it comes to ethics education, it is not only about the ethical responsibility that we want to actually bring it to the future engineers, or to the future professionals in general, okay, which I would like to put here. All right, but at the same time, the reasoning skills must be there. Okay, why the students want to take this particular decision, ethical decisions? So the reasoning skills must be strong, because as you know, the challenges that they're going to see during, okay, in their career, okay, as an engineer, is going to be more challenging than what that we are actually exposing them in the classroom. All right, so that is the importance of the reasoning skills here. All right, and at the same time, there should be a proper ethical sensitivity also. Okay, not only during the subject itself, but also it must be ethical sensitivity should be go beyond that. Okay, beyond the ethics education that we preach in the classroom. Right. For example, when they are doing, for example, when they are designing for your engineering class. So, do you actually really look at the ethical elements in their design classroom? All right, when they're doing their final year project, what are the quantum of the ethical consideration has been given, okay, when they are doing the project. So these are the things that we need to actually look into as an educator, right? So these are the three main aspects that I would like to actually introduce to you, so that you can actually bring it in your classroom, all right, to enhance the current ethics education that you practice in your university. All right. So the character development is pivotal to produce holistic engineers, because we want the professional engineers, yes, whereby the technical education, the technical subjects, contents can develop a proper professionals. But at the same time, we need also socio responsible engineers as well. All right, so what it means here is that, right, we have to, all right, put these two things together. All right, technically professional and socially responsible engineers as well. We need to actually make sure that our graduates, okay, to have these two elements, okay, together with them upon their graduation. So that is the point that I would like to bring in the ethics education. Then you can see that, all right, how we can actually make this ethics education, all right, so that we can build a holistic professional, is that there should be a proper knowledge to be given to them, all right, skills. Okay, so you may actually ask me why skills is important, okay, in ethics education. Okay, skills is important because skills are related to the decision making process. All right, so that is why you can have to bring this particular point for the first point of the slide. All right, where the second element is the reasoning skills. So this is where the skills comes in, all right, in terms of the decision making. All right, then for sure the values must be there. All right, the values should be instilled and infused among the, all right, the ethical values should be infused and instilled, okay, among the undergraduates. A proper values must be there, so that they can bring, okay, throughout their career life. All right, so this is what the ethics education should bring to the student. That means a proper knowledge on the ethics, okay, the skills, and also the values. Right? So it is not only the knowledge that is important in the ethics education. So is it they are able to answer the code of conduct? No, it is not only that, but it's also about the skills and the values as well. So we hope that when we are talking about in the context of ethics education, when you look at the learning domain, okay, of your ethics education or your subject, you need to relook back. All right, you have to relook back whether you just look at the cognitive level, or at the same time you also have this what we call the psychomotor and the affective learning domain as well. All right, so these are the things that I would like to point it out here. All right, so let us move on to the next slide. So let us look at the ethical issues at the workplace. So this is for the current, not only for the current professionals, right, but it's also for the future engineers, right? So they have to understand what kind of competencies, all right, what are the values that should have when they are actually working as an engineer. All right, so let us look at the engineering ethics that happens in the workplace at large. All right. So if you look at the engineering ethics at workplace, all right, it can be divided into two main elements. Okay, two components, I would say. Okay, it is two component here. One is the micro ethics, which is come under the personal ethical decision making. That means that is what you are taking every day in your daily activities at the workplace. All right. For an example, whether you have put up the consideration of the safety of yourself or not. All right. Whether you actually use the proper tools or not in terms of rectifying some machines and so on. So that will be the micro ethic. That means the personal decision about the ethical situation in your life and also your career. All right. So if you look at the micro ethics, it is about a collective ethical decision making that is going to impact the organization and also the society at large. Right. So microethics is very important. Why? Because the ethical decision making that you're going to make, it is not only going to impact, right, the organization, but also the society and also the environment at the same time. So that is the responsibility that you have to play as an engineer. Right, the responsibility of an engineer not only towards the organization, no, it is also to the society and the environment as well. So this is where these two components is playing a very big role in terms of ethics at the workplace. All right, so if you look at the as a professional, you will be dealing with two components, which is the micro and the macro. You have to make ethical decision individually, as I already told you. If you can look at the individual ethics thing, for an example, for your own safety. All right. So what I should do in order to adhere to the safety measures. Okay, that is going to be for you. But at the same time, okay, and at the same time, you also have to make sure that you take a collective decision making, ethical decision making, that going to impact the well-being of the organization, of your peers, right, the colleagues who work in the organization, and at the same time the biosphere, the environment at large. Right. So there are two main ethical components that comes under the ethics at your workplace. That is, one is micro, another one is the macro. So I really hope that you can get the understanding about where the professional ethics comes here. All right. All right. So this is the things at the ethics in the workplace. At the same time, we also have to know, right, what are the competencies, all right, professional ethical competencies that is needed, okay, as an as an engineer or professional, all right. First of all, very important ethical competency that you need is that about on the safety issues. All right, safety issues is important. I think everyone knows about that. right? I think engineers, okay, we as an engineer, we need to know, all right, why, right, this particular safety is very important, all right. I think that is the major concern. Even today, I think, all right, even today, I think when it comes to the safety issues, all right, why we need to wear the mask, all right, because we are
Yeah.
trying to protect the others as well. Yes, Dr. Sabri, do you have any
Yes.
question?
No. It's okay. No problem. You can go. Just a little bit. Some. You talk about the mask. Yeah. This is our life. So just love. Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay, all right. So that will be the safety issues. All right. So the safety issues is the first thing. All right, that must come. Okay, I think not only in the professional, not only at your workplace. I think nowadays safety is become a very important in our daily activities that we are doing. All right, like you're wearing your mask, social distancing. Okay, put the hand sanitizer. I think it has become pivotal action that we need to take. All right, so that is the first competency that as a professional, okay, you need to have. Okay, ethical competency, I would say. And the second one is the responsibility for the company or the organization that you're working. All right, you have to be responsible towards that company that you're working. That is also considered one of the very important ethical competency, and it is also adhere. Okay, it is already been stated in the professional code of conduct, engineers professional code of conduct, that is set by the Board of Engineers Malaysia, BEM. Right. So as an engineer, we have to know that, okay, what is our responsibility towards the company, okay, towards the society, right? So everything is being stated there. All right, when we are taking the ethical decision making, this is where sometimes what we call as the ethical dilemma will come. Okay, which one we have to give the priority. All right, so you have to go back to the theory, all right, of the ethics when you're doing the ethical decision making. All right, so this is the responsibility for the company. Then relationship with peers is also comes under the professional ethical competency, because how do you actually carry yourself as a professional, okay, engineer? Because as you know, engineering is a professional career. It's a professional. All right, so the professionalism must be maintained there, right? So how you actually maintain your professionalism among your peers is also considered one of the element in the ethical competency. And the fourth one is the basic right of professionals as an engineer. All right, what is the rights that you have in your organization, right? As an individual, what you have the rights in this particular nation, all right, as the citizen of the world, okay, what kind of rights that you have, okay, as a citizen of the world. So these are the things that you need to know, okay, and not only about the rights that you have, but at the same time the right about the others also. So that is why you have to also not only respect the rights of yourself, but also respect the rights of others. All right, so that is where the basic right of professionals comes here. All right, but in the context of the workplace, yes, basic rights of professionals is already stated. So you have to go back, okay, look back at your company's, terms and conditions. All right, so that is already stated there. What is the rights that you have? All right. Then second, the fifth one is the gender equality. I think this has become a major issue nowadays, right? Because as we know, okay, during last time, okay, the dominant, okay, gender in engineering is male, all right. But right now, I think the female engineers is already there at the workplace. So how we actually going to maintain this balance? Okay, how are we going to respect, okay, the other gender? Okay, it's not only for, it's a one-way traffic here. It is not the respect that the male engineer should give to the female engineer, but the female engineers what the things that should give to the male engineers as well. Because from what I know, there are many female engineers are actually working at the top rank. All right. So they also need to also know about this gender equality as well. So when I say about gender equality, it is not about only the male to the female, but also the female to the male as well. All right. So that is the gender equality will comes at the workplace itself. All right. So how we should respect them, how we should maintain a proper professional and ethical ways when we're dealing with the other gender, all right, professionals. Then responsibility to the public. Okay, this is what I've been mentioned just now. All right, this is also become. This is actually a very important competency. What is your responsibility to the public, to the society at large? All right, and very important also as an engineer, because we are going to develop the system, the technology that is very much going to relate to the environment also. Okay, you okay, we cannot run away from this environment protection issue when it comes to the ethical competency. We have to, when we take any ethical decisions, we need to also need to know that, okay, environment protection should be at the first place. Okay, then corruption and unethical activities, right? This is also another competency that you need to have. Okay, that means you have to avoid the corruption or any unethical activities that related, okay, in your working place, right? And one of very important at this particular point of time in this 21st century, I would say globalization. Okay, what kind of a globalized ethical, okay, globalized ethical competency that you need to have. It is not only that which I already mentioned just now. You are not going to only work as an engineer in this particular country. You're also going to serve the client from the other part of the world. So this is where, all right, other part of, okay, outside Malaysia. Okay, so you need to also need to know how you're going to act professionally, all right, while, okay, maintain the professionalism in your own country. So there are, because for sure they're going to be culturally, and the professional code of conduct is going to be different a little bit here and there. So you need to also understand about this thing. So that is why the globalization is also an important element that an engineer should know. All right, if I put in a very general scope, I would say a professional should know. All right, a professional should also know about the globalization thing here, right? So when you are dealing, you're not only dealing within the scope of Malaysia, but it is actually outside from Malaysia as well. So as an educator, I think we have to actually preach to our student. It is that not only looking at the perspective of Malaysia, but it's also looking at the perspective of the, from the global perspective is very important, yeah, as well. Okay, so let us look at the current development today. So the current development today, it is all about IR 4.0. Okay, knowing or without knowing, I think our life, okay, has been connected with IR 4.0 today. When you take your handphone, all right, when you make up a call, when you browse your Facebook, okay, early morning, when you chat with your friend using your WhatsApp, everything is connected. All right, everything is connected, and this is where the IR 4.0 playing the role. All right, but what this IR 4.0 ethical issues and challenges? So we have to know about this. We have to expose ourselves about these challenges and issues in the context of ethics. So IR 4.0 change how people work, live, and communicate with each other. I think we have seen that. We are experiencing in our daily life. All right. Almost every aspect of human life has been impacted by IR 4.0. Okay, we can see that. Okay, so that is why some undergraduates are not able to get work. This is also due to, all right, this is also due to IR 4.0, because they are actually moving from human based working paradigm to automation. So because most of the company now actually moving towards automation, All right, they are not going to rely on the human. So that is also make, okay, another challenges. Okay, that is why I think some, okay, not many lah, some of the engineers, okay, the undergraduates who already graduated, okay, many years ago, still not able to get a job. All right, this is also because of IR 4.0. Okay, there is a small impact on that. There's an urgent need for people to realize that justice, respect, and fairness must remain the cornerstone of humanity. So, why actually I am talking about this? Because we are so much amazed. We are so much celebrating the technology development, sorry, due to IR 4.0. But we have to actually go to the ground. Okay, we have to stand on the ground and saying that, okay, although there is IR 4.0, there is a technological development there. All right, we need to know that. All right, there is a, all right, ethical, okay, ethics that we need to follow when we are actually using this IR 4.0, or we're developing any kind of a technologies that related to IR 4.0. Right, so that is the third point that I would like to give you here. So the professionals who involved in engineering and technology must embrace an ethical impetus at every level of technological development. This is where a very important point that I would like to point it out here. So when we are so much amazed with the technological development, when we as an engineer and technologists, okay, have been involved in the development of the IR 4.0 technologies, applying the IR 4.0 applications, all right, I think it is important for us, all right, to also have ethical consideration with us together, okay, when we are actually developing this technology. All right, so that will be the point here. So let us look at, okay, the issues and challenges of ethics in IR 4.0. um, Actually, there are many type of technologies and applications are there in IR 4.0, but for this particular talk, I just like to actually divide it. I just want to focus on these three main component of IR 4.0 technologies and application, which are artificial intelligence, automation, and big data. Because I think these three are actually playing a very big role in IR 4.0. So if you look at the artificial intelligence, so you can see that what are the issues and challenges of ethics basically can happen in terms of artificial intelligence is the decision that may be biased. All right, that may be biased because of the uh, because you are the one who actually program it, all right, and the decision will make by the computer. All right, so it may, there's a tendency for the biasness here. All right, and you can see that when we are so much rely on the on the AI, we solely depends on the brain of the computer to make the decision. So you can see here that there is not much of an ethical and sustainability consideration will be given by the computer, because it solely depends on who actually developed that thing. So when you actually removing human from the decision making process, all right, so there is no more consideration about ethical and sustainability. So we have to know that how this computer is going to make this ethical and sustainability consideration, all right, in terms of the decision making. So we have, okay, as a professional engineers and technologists, we have to actually look into this matter seriously. All right, so that is the ethical issues and challenges in the context of AI. All right, when it comes to the automation, so we can see that there is no human interaction happen in the automation. So who is actually going to be responsible when there is anything mistake happen due to the automation, such as the driverless, okay, we can see the autonomous car nowadays, okay, and driverless car, okay, that has been developed. So you can see that there is when this particular car, it hits someone, all right, what's going to happen to that person? Who is going to be responsible here? All right, because the car actually has been run by the computer, not by man. All right, last time when he is in a in a typical way, all right, last time, yes, for sure. Okay, when you're talking about without an automation, the car actually driven by a man, okay, a person, all right. So if he or she hits someone, okay, that person is going to be responsible. But when it comes to fully automation, when it comes to autonomous vehicles, what I call, so the liability and the accountability is not there. All right. So who is going to be actually responsible if this particular car costs someone's life? So this is where I think again we have to look into the issues and challenges of ethics here properly. All right. So we need to set up a proper law. All right, and ethical consideration when we actually developing this automation as well. All right. So that is when it comes to automation. Looking at the third one, the big data. All right. So when it comes to the big data, there is a issue about the security versus the privacy thing. All right. So how you going to protect the data that you have actually generated or collected from the user? So as we know, Google's are actually watching us. They're actually collecting all the information from us. So, but how they're going to protect this particular data that they have about me, okay, so that it won't go to someone's, irresponsible hands. All right. So this is where we have to actually make sure that it is been, there is a proper ethical framework to be developed when it comes to the big data thing. Because when it comes to big data, it can be manipulated for a self-interest as well. Right. So we want to avoid these particular things that may happen to us. All right. Because IR 4.0 is supposedly to make humans' life easier, okay, better, all right, and progressing the human life to a better life. Okay, that is the overall concept of IR 4.0 supposed to be. All right. But somehow we can see here, okay, we can see that nowadays somehow there is also some irresponsible people actually developing the IR 4.0 technologies and application that may cause problems to the human and environment at large. So we want to avoid these particular things, right? So since there are a lot of issues and challenges here, so how are we going to overcome, okay, these problems that happens in the context of IR 4.0? So let us discuss a few here, which this is my own idea how what we can do basically. So we can actually educate the professionals on the ethical issues related to the technologies of IR 4.0. Because as we can see here that IR 4.0 somehow it is not new actually, it's already there. Okay, it's already within us as a professional. So we have to educate the professionals, not only the professionals, but the future professionals about the technologies of IR 4.0 related to the ethical issues, right? So you not only developing a person, okay, a professional who can actually well versed in developing the system, the process of IR 4.0. Okay, not only that, but it's also in terms of the ethical issues. So that is the first one. We also need to know that self-awareness through appropriate knowledge, skills, and values dealing with IR 4.0 technologies are also important. So, as a professional engineer, as an educator, we as an educator, and the future engineers, the undergraduate students, need to know, okay, they have to aware about the impact of IR 4.0 to the society, to the environment. Okay, how we going to develop, okay, this IR 4.0 technology that going to, okay, make this world is a better place to live, right? For all living beings, not only for the mankind, for all living beings. So how are we going to do that? So this is things that we need to educate our student as an educator. Okay, and when I'm looking at the educator's point of view, we need to actually educate them about this thing. So engineers and technology should develop a better system that consider the ethical and sustainability issues. So when you actually dealing, okay, I know that some of you here maybe from, you are actually a working engineer. So when you're actually dealing with IR 4.0, all right, when you're developing a system, a process, or whatever it is, all right, please consider ethical and sustainability issues as well, right? So at the same time, we need to relook at the current ethics education paradigm. This is for the educators and the who's actually dealing with the cost development, okay, the ethical cost development, whereby the integration of IR 4.0 technology ethical issue must be there. Okay, so how far we actually preaching this thing to our student? So we have to relook back, okay, these issues as well. So these are the four ideas where I actually can give, all right, in terms of how we're going to deal with the issues and challenges of IR 4.0 in the context of ethics. All right. So this is where I'm just going to share with you the proposed 21st century ethics education model, which is under under development, I would say. Okay, still under construction. Uh, but I would say that when we actually talk about 21st century ethical professionals, three main component must be there. The component must be there. One is the knowledge, skills, and the values. And we, okay, as an educator, we need to know also what are the knowledge that we should give. So this is where the so-called the elements that need to have, okay, in the component of knowledge has been proposed here. So you can see that sustainable development, IR 4.0, techno ethics must be preached, okay, among our students. We have to actually expose our undergraduates with this. What are the challenges and the ethical issues that may rise from this IR 4.0 applications? All right, so we have to actually discuss about that with our student, right? And other elements as well. If you look at the skills, all right, as we are living in this 21st century 21st century era, you can see that creativity is important, right? But how we can actually bring creativity, ethical creative, what I would say, ethical creative, all right, that kind of a skills we need to actually embed in our education, ethics education. And at the same time, we need to have embed a proper reasoning skills, okay, in the education itself, all right. So that is the two things, okay, very major things that I would like to highlight here. But the others, I think, is already there, okay. But we have to enhance the other elements as well, all right. And when it comes to the values, okay, we need to have the other elements which has been listed here, all right. But I would like to focus on the digital citizenship, okay, because as we are in the digital world with the IR 4.0 technologies and application, I think digital citizenship is also another values that as a future professional or the current professional need to embrace well, all right. So these are the some kind of a proposed framework which I would like to share with all of you, all right. And you may actually read some of my papers that is been in the journals, all right. So this is the a few articles which has been that published in journals, which you may actually read for further information about what I'm actually discussed today. And you can also gain some knowledge in terms of ethics education, okay. So those who are like to do some research on the ethics education, please read this paper, and you may contact me if you need any kind of assistance in terms of when you are trying to do any kind of a research related to ethics. Yeah. All right. So with that, I would like to thank Masha University and Dr. Sabrin for giving me a wonderful opportunity today, and also to Dr. Ho, all right, as well, for inviting me as a guest lecturer today. All right. So with that, I think I will end my presentation, and back to you, Dr. Moderator.
Okay, thank you, very much sure to the TS Dr. Bala. Okay, so I hope all the viewers in the Masa Facebook and Masa YouTube able to reach all the informative and interesting sharing session for the ethical in education. So uh, very help, very helpful to me and I think is our staff in the Bangsa on the ethical. So I know the ethic is a more important things to the professional jobs. Okay, so everything you need to what we call it to follow the ethical professional procedure. Okay, so hopefully this presentation will be beneficial for everyone. Okay, thank you for your attention. Okay, assalamualaikum and very good evening. Okay, thank you.